Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dropping the Gloves. Thanks for joining us here. Beautiful June, middle of June, the 10th. Sun is shining. Tim, how are you in North Carolina? Is it 100 degrees there yet? That's what I want to know.
No, it's a pretty cool day right now. It's only 74, high of like 81 today, which is pretty mild for what we've had in the last few weeks or so. So it's nice. It's really
no
nice.
kidding. So 81's mild these days.
Yeah. It's been pretty hot already. So this is nice.
No kidding. Wow, that's good. We're happy if it gets up to 65 here in northern Michigan. It's a nice day.
I take 65 instead.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, no, I'm not complaining whatsoever. I like a nice moderate weather. Sunny, 65. It's right where you want to be. And then once you hit July and August, up to 75, 80, maybe 85. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what the body's meant for. You don't want to be at 100 degrees. It's too much. It's a big game on Friday. Should we get into that or maybe do an ad first? What do you think?
What do the people want? They probably want to hear the ad, right?
Want to hear about the chickens?
Yeah. Let's hear the chicken update.
So the girls have been clamoring to sell the eggs because now that we've gotten the coop figured out, we've gotten the fox somewhat figured out at bay. I see it almost. I don't want to lie and say daily. I saw it this morning. It's around. So no more chickens have died, which is good. But the girls have been clamoring to sell the eggs. And so this week I had some extra, leftover wood from the coop that I built. So I threw together a little lean-to. We put it by the road. We put the eggs up for sale, $5 a carton. We just put it up yesterday. So no eggs have sold just yet. We still got to put a sign on the sides of it so people can see it. But
well, the last time we got an egg update, you were not quite enough. We weren't getting a ton of eggs yet. And now you have so many that you're able to sell the extras?
Almost 10 a day. Eight to 9 a day. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is awesome. So we're making, deviled eggs we boil the eggs, cakes and quiches and stuff like that. So I just make eggs. So it's good. Good stuff. And then they sell them. So I don't think we'll sell any. Our road is fairly quiet.
If you're in Traverse City, drive fast. Yeah.
They zoom by. We get about, I want to say, 20 cars a day that drive up that road, maybe 30. And they're flying. So they're not slowing down for my little egg stand. But if you're in Traverse City, Bingham Road, about halfway up, $5 eggs. Check it out. They're there. But anyways, this episode, like we said, is brought to you by somebody. And we're happy it's brought to you by Bet365, proud sponsor, partner of Dropping the Gloves. Open an account today with Bet365 and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. Use code HOCKEYCA. Have some fun betting on these games because, boy, it is enjoyable. The under hit last game. Edmonton Oilers stunk. Florida Panthers were fantastic. A really, really fun game. But let's get into it, Tim. What was the theme of game one?
The theme was that it was the Bobrovsky show. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, it's weird because when I watched it, it didn't really feel like Edmonton was the better team. But then you look at the stats and like the shots on goal, the possession time, like all that stuff, you think, man, Edmonton had basically twice as many shots on net. You would think that the ice was more tilted. I don't know. It felt pretty close, even though Florida was up 3-0. And some of the saves that Bobrovsky was making was like, when a goalie's on like that in the finals, you're like, okay, he's not letting his team lose this thing. That's how it felt in game one.
Yeah, before we get into the goals and break them down and the absolute abhorrent play of some players for the Edmonton Oilers, talking on Bobrovsky, his tracking of the puck is next level. Jeremy Swayman's really well at it, where he just, sees through screens and he's locked in. Bobrovsky, when he is locked in and he's tracking that puck, it's so fun to watch. There was a shot by Evan Bouchard. I think it was the second period. It was an absolute bomb. I think TNT slowed it down and we got a better look at it, but he just casually blockered it away. Just like a casual blockered away a 96-mile-an-hour slap shot. It was unbelievable. And there was another one by Mattias Ekholm from the point, and he's looking through a screen. I think, gosh, she was right in front. I can't remember Hyman. He reaches around him in front of Hyman and snags the puck out of midair. It's really, really fun to watch. He's feeling it when a goalie's locked in like this. And we talk about it a lot. And I said it before the series, Stuart Skinner will not steal you a game. He won't win you a game. What he will do is not lose you a game. And I don't think Stuart Skinner lost them that game by any means. He played really well. He only gave up 2 goals, 2 hard goals. You're not going to save those goals, most likely. Bob would have saved those goals. He played lights out. He won Florida Panthers this game. He was time and time again stifling the Edmonton Oilers. Breakaways, power plays, just really so. Like, if I'm an Oilers player, I'm happy with how he played, but I'm scratching my head trying to say, how do we beat this guy? And that's not a good place to be if you're a forward. How do we beat this guy? If you're the highest scoring team in the NHL, if you have the best power play of this and that, you pride yourself on scoring goals, and you get blanked in game 1, and you threw everything in the kitchen sink at this guy, and he did not even look like it was difficult. That's the scary part. It was just routine for him. That's how locked in this guy is.
Yeah, the Panthers opened the scoring early too in the first period. Just about 4 minutes in, the Oilers had cleared it all the way down the zone. The goalie played it, makes the play. Pretty quick little breakout move by whoever that defenseman was. And there's a rush going the other way. Turns into a 3-on-2, a 2-on-1, and they get the backdoor goal by Verhaeghe. But there's a lot to be broken down about this goal. A lot of things went well for Florida, but a lot of things went very, very poorly if you're the Edmonton defense, and even a certain back checker, I think.
It all starts by taking advantage of the Edmonton Oilers because they are a fast team. They're an aggressive team, and I think the Florida Panthers know this. So whenever they get a chance, they try to get it out of their zone as quick as possible. That's obvious. But in this case, you have McDavid, Hyman, and Draisaitl, all 3 of them almost below the goal line. They're forechecking. Hyman and Nuge are on the D-man. McDavid's trying to pick off a pass, and he attempts to do that, and it gets by him to Barkov, and he's gone. And that's all it takes. One minor mistake, one minor play where you're getting too aggressive, and you're done. You're down by 1. It's so fast, and it's Connor McDavid, the best player on the planet. Maybe he thinks he can catch up. He can make up some ground, but you go back, everybody, and watch this goal. Barkov gets the puck at the hash marks in his D zone. He's flat-footed. McDavid does a quick button turn, and they're off to the races, both of them right up the ice. McDavid does not gain an inch on him. Barkov is busting his hump up the ice, and McDavid can't catch him. It's an amazing feat from Barkov. He gives it out wide to Reinhart. He gets back to Barkov, and he scores to Verhaeghe. But the first mistake is McDavid. Tim, can we talk about how to play on 3-on-2? You've played hockey a long time. I've played hockey a long time. There's a right way to play a 3-on-2 and a wrong way to play a 3-on-2. And if I'm the Edmonton Oilers and I'm Paul Coffey and I'm watching this game tape, I'm shaking my head. What are we doing? Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci. If you could script a way to show how not to do it, this is it. This is exactly it. A 3-on-2, the main purpose is to keep the puck out wide. Don't let it enter the middle. Leave it out wide. You want to keep a 2-on-1. The man drives the net, and Darnell Nurse plays a 2-on-1. He's playing Barkov and Reinhart. That's it. Because Verhaeghe's driving the net. So Cody Ceci's taking him. Nurse, for whatever reason, just goes right at Sam Reinhart. Why? Why do that? Reinhart has the puck. Just leave him out wide. You have back pressure. McDavid's hounding. Hyman's coming back. The Nuge is coming back. It will eventually be a 3-on-3. That's how it usually shakes out. Nurse, in his brilliant mind, takes a page from Jacob Trouba and says, I'm going to bury this guy. And he steps up. Reinhart casually slides it back to the middle to Barkov. Cody Ceci, it is now a 2-on-1. What are you supposed to do with a 2-on-1, Tim?
Take the backdoor pass. Let the goalie get the shot.
Easy. Everybody knows it. Everybody. Let the goalie take the shot. We have back pressure. It's going to be a quick shot from Barkov. That's the play we want to give the goalie. No, he, for some reason, goes right at Sasha Barkov. Like an idiot. I don't know what they're thinking. So he goes at Barkov, and it's an easy play for these forwards. They go, oh, thank you. You're coming at me. Tink, you're coming at me. Over to Verhaeghe. Backdoor tap in. Stuart Skinner shaking his head. Twice these D-men made crucial mistakes, and it's in the back of our net now. So incredibly terrible play by both defensemen. It's mind-boggling. And this is your $9.5 million defenseman, everybody. This is your guy. And it's the first period, 5 minutes in of the Stanley Cup Finals, and he's already laid a deuce right on the ice to put your team down by 1. And you had a great first 5 minutes. You were flying. You had a scoring chance with Hyman. Bobrovsky made a great save. You're on your toes. And now you're -1 to a Florida Panthers team who thrives on having the lead. Once they get the lead, good luck. you're not getting it back. This team is so good when they're in front. They really, really are good. And it gets worse from there. What happened on the second goal, Tim?
Wait, let me back up real quick to that. How much of what I saw what Nurse did, right? The puck's going north-south, and he steps to the side. And the fact that he missed isn't the biggest issue, because when you do that, you're going east-west, and the puck's leaving you behind. It's just that's how fast they're moving. But then Ceci, obviously, he stops too, and the puck just gets behind him and goes back door. How much of that is just because of bad decisions versus the other guys just being so much faster than them? Like, how much could they have done just because of their skill set and speed? You know what I mean?
Well, I think they're excited. They want to shut down the play. They're playing with the first line. They don't get to play with those guys very often, so maybe they want to shut it down and get going the other way. But I don't think speed had any reason for their mistakes.
It was decisions.
They just got horny, and they compound the problem. They go, oh, McDavid's out of position. I'm going to shut this down. Oh, my partner went over. I'm going to shut this down. Next thing you know, Verhaeghe, and this guy's not going to miss. Verhaeghe's a stud. Like it's an easy tap in for him. So it's just a compound of issues, and they just got worse and worse and worse. And now you're down a goal and you're chasing the game, which isn't a bad thing for the Oilers. They played fantastic, but what a momentum for the home crowd, for the home team, for everybody involved. It's just such a terrible start, and it's just those two guys. If you see your forward low and it's a 3-on-2, you got to play it smart, man. And you're not going up against Florida's fourth line or Florida's third line. It's their first line. They know how to finish.
One of the things playing on the road, especially in a playoff game and a finals game, is you can't let the crowd get into it the way they did. Like, you let up an early goal on the road and the crowd is just on their feet, lights out, it's everything. And so, well, overall, solid period. They did bounce back. They even interviewed Knobloch during one of the breaks, and they said, I like our start. We've been moving well, et cetera. Finishes 1-0 after one. You think you make some adjustments. You kind of withstood the storm a little bit. One bad play. It's a pretty close game. Then again, another quick goal early in the second period.
Yeah, carbon copy of the first period where Edmonton seemed to be carrying the play. They had a power play for it. Well, we'll touch on that in a second. But it's another play where Sam Bennett picks the puck up in his own zone. Everything is fine. It's a 2-on-5. All the Edmonton players are in position. You have Vander Kane back door. You have all your guys. You have McLeod pressuring the puck. You have Ceci and Nurse out again. Ceci and Nurse. The gap is there. Sam Bennett breezes by the Edmonton forward. I don't know if it was McLeod or Perry or somebody. Doesn't really get a body on him, so it gives Bennett the ability to keep his speed. He chips it behind the net. Skinner can't go and get it because he's handcuffed because Bennett's coming. Ceci, for whatever reason, and this is where physical play plays a part, and everybody's been harping on it. These players have been asked over and over again for the last week, how are you going to handle the Florida Panthers physical play? How are you going to handle Tkachuk and Bennett? They run you guys. It's going to be a physical game. Hitting. And that has been drilled into these guys' heads. So now every time they go back for the puck, they know they're going to get hit. They've been thinking about it. Everybody's been telling him about it. So Cody Ceci, when he sees the puck dumped in his area, he doesn't want to get it. Sam Bennett's coming. No, thanks. I'll get there at the same time as Sam Bennett. I'll get there maybe a little step behind him so I have him pinned up against the boards. That's what he's thinking. Cody Ceci's a big, big cat. I don't have the stats here in front of me. I bet she's 6'2", 220, 230 pounds. He's very scared to go back and get that puck. So Sam Bennett sees this, chips it in the corner. Sam Bennett picks up the puck. Everybody on the ice has no clue that Sam Bennett's going to win this race to the puck. Darnell Nurse is sleeping. Evander Kane is sleeping. McLeod is sleeping. Perry is sleeping. Who's in front of the net? My guy, Evan Rodriguez. Love this guy. Right into the slot, Sam Bennett throws it to him. It's 2-0. Stuart Skinner can't do anything on either of these goals. It's players sleeping. It's players out of position. It's players, frankly, just being... Well, we'll bleep that out. But it's just... it's embarrassing. This is the Stanley Cup Finals. The puck gets dumped in your corner. Go back and get the puck and take a hit. You can't do what you did, Cody Ceci. It's embarrassing. Everybody's all over Darnell Nurse. So Darnell, you got to get your head on a swivel. You got to be ready. Yeah, I get it. You do. He is waiting for Cody Ceci to take the hit and then pick up the puck and start the regroup, start the breakout. That's what he's waiting for. Cody Ceci should have gotten the puck first, taken a hit, and chipped it behind the net. That's what Nurse is waiting for. It happens every game, dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But because Cody Ceci is terrified to get hit, And everybody's been saying, oh, Sam Bennett's going to come and hit you. Heads up. They're a physical team. He's terrified. Scared. And now they're down 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, and it took me a few watches. I had to watch 3-4 times before I really saw what Bennett did, because you're like, did this, it was a bad bounce? Like, did someone whack it and just shot out, luckily, right at Rodriguez? No, beautiful no-look pass by Bennett, just probably just throwing out in front of the net. I don't know if he knew if Rodriguez was right there or not, whatever, but the other thing I wanted to point out is, and I think Buchacross has tweeted this a few times, that Nurse plays in his own zone with his stick in the air. His stick's not on the ice. And once I saw that, like, you can't unsee it. Like, you watch him. And again, like, I know that Ceci is supposed to make that play, but again, Nurse's stick is not on the ice. Puck goes right onto him. He tries to react, not enough time. And Rodriguez, again, isn't going to miss that opportunity. So I think you're right. I think you're kind of seeing playing out what we thought was a storyline going into it. And it felt a little bit like we were overplaying the talking points, just talking about Florida's physicality, forecheck, all that stuff. Look at those goals. Like, this is exactly what they did. And it's hard to see them, they're not going to stop. And now that it's working, that's their game plan moving forward. It's like, hey, here's the recipe. Just make those plays and we'll get these games.
Yeah, it's a recipe for success. And Edmonton showed them why it works. The hits were 57-32 for the Florida Panthers. They imposed their will. And you could see it after every scrum. We talked about it going into it. Will Edmonton be able to step away from the scrums? Get out of there. You don't need to be in that scrum. I don't think they did it. They engaged. They were right in the middle of things, and Florida dragged them into the fight. Edmonton was the better team. They were. Well, let me preface this. The first line for the Edmonton Oilers was the better team. The next three lines were pedestrian, invisible, not a factor in this game whatsoever. When Knobloch went to the super heavy line in the third period, 29, 97, and Hyman, and then they had Bouchard and Ekholm on the back end, they played pretty much half the period, if not a little bit more. They were so dangerous. So dangerous. And when he put them out after every PK, when they get on the ice, I hold my breath. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're so incredible, Tim. You know that. I know that. They played great. They carried the play. And Florida still wins the game 2-0. What do you do if you're the Edmonton Oilers now? You had a fantastic game, and you still lose 3-0. And Florida, they started to get their mojo late in the third period, where they got to their cycle game, they got to their forecheck game, and they started to look really, really good. I don't think Edmonton had a shot in the third period until 5 or 6 minutes in. And when you go out and you're trying to score and you're the Edmonton Oilers and you load up that first line and then they get hemmed in for a couple shifts in a row, the other three lines don't do anything. 4, 5, 6 minutes go by and you haven't been in the Florida Panthers zone. So there is, a negative effect of loading up that first line. But back to the question, what do you do, Tim, if you're the Oilers? You're happy. You outplayed them. What do you do next?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not panicking, right? Like, you don't want to make some hasty lineup decisions or just start playing like with your playing scared, because you don't really need to be. Like, you played very, very well overall. You had more shots on net by a whole bunch. After the second, it was like 25-12, something like that. Yeah. And Bobrovsky's going to be, we knew going into it, he's going to be hard to beat. This isn't a surprise. But that said, he is beatable. Like, it's not like he's not channeling something special here, I don't think. So I think one of the things that they talked about is breaking up Nurse and Ceci, because that's obviously an issue. I don't know what you do, because they don't have a deep defense, and you really shouldn't mix up Bouchard and Ekholm, because that's the only thing that works. They were actually discussing playing Desharnais and going with 7 defensemen in game 2, which I think is probably an example of panicking. Maybe that's something you do if you lose game 2 and you still got 2 games at home to make up for it and get things right. But I think you need a goal from your middle 6, second, third line, and you just need better play from your defense. I think you get those 2 things and you have a chance of tying it up. Yeah,
a lot of things need to change, I think. I think you need to ask more from your second and third line. And then do you entertain benching Cody Ceci or Darnell Nurse?
You can't.
Why? Philip Broberg played great.
Yeah,
I thought he was confident. I didn't think he made many mistakes. He was moving the puck well. He jumped up in the offense. He had a couple really good chances. He was pretty good defensively. And this might be because they shelter him and he doesn't get prime competition. But when you look at the ice time these guys get, Tim, this is your $9.25 million defenseman. This guy makes way more than anybody else in the back end. He played the least amount of minutes. 16 minutes he played.
Wow.
So when you look at it like that, Coffey is already limiting his ice time. He was out there. He's -2. He's not bringing anything offensively. He's not bringing anything physical-wise. When do you see him ever make a huge hit or a hit in general? He's playing scared. He's playing on his heels. I think he's gone mentally. He knows it. When you look at the stats, what is he, like minus 18 now?
He's 15 and the record's 16 from like 92. So he's gonna beat it or lose it, depending on how you look at it.
It's outrageous. Yeah, he's setting records for being in the minus on a team that scores an incredible amount of goals. How does that happen? He is a hindrance to this team. So if I'm Knobloch, if I'm Coffey, why not? This is the Stanley Cup Finals. We're not here to make sure everybody's happy. We're here to win Stanley Cups and win games. And when I look at that game and I go over the tape, the reason we lost is Ceci and Nurse. Right? Did they bring anything positive, Tim?
No, and yeah, I mean, it was much closer than a 3-0 game, even though that was the final score. I think Stewart played well enough, like you said, didn't win you the game, but he didn't lose you the game. And even though you didn't get goals, I feel like you like what you saw from your top line and your top pairing. And this is just, I don't want to say that same old thing of it being a top-heavy team because we talked about it for years, and they have added depth, but like your back is to the wall. Like, this is the Stanley Cup Finals, and you're not getting any production. And it's actually costing you. Your depth is costing you game one. And again, this just goes back to Florida. Like they've got the recipe. They know exactly what it takes. And they were just even more confident than they were entering the series, which was already, probably the most confident hockey team in the league.
Yeah, I don't mind what Knobloch did. And he said it at the beginning of the playoffs, we're going to roll the lines. We're going to get everybody involved. We want everybody to be a part of this team. He says one thing and then does a completely opposite thing. In the third period, he rolled that line every other shift, and he should. He has to. Those top, Holloway's not in that group. Kane's not in that group. I would say the top four guys, the Nuge, Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid, those guys need to play 25 to 30 minutes each game. That's it. And then you roll through Holloway, Fogle, Kane, Janmark, those guys to make up the rest or whatever, because you can't win. You can't win without those top four guys. And you hope you can get a matchup that you like. But Florida, Paul Maurice did a great job matching lines. There was very few times when McDavid was on the ice and he didn't get Barkov right in his face. And when you're trying to garner offense, like what did Gretzky say about Barkov?
Yeah, he said basically that number 16 is the, quote, the best defensive hockey player I've seen since Brian Trottier. He's good on offense too, like Trottier was. Like, he was so good because even Maurice was asked after the game about Barkov being a shutdown forward, and he's like, "That's not a good descriptor for him because he does everything." You think shutdown forward, you think like that's their primary role, and yeah, Barkov's like he thinks defense first, he thinks team first, but he's also like just an incredible offensive player. You saw that on the first goal, like he's got everything. And yeah, every shift that was against McDavid, and you could see him getting in McDavid's face. You're not going to beat him every time. McDavid is too good, too fast, too skilled. But you contained him for the entire game, and you held him off the stat sheet, and that's a huge win for Barkov and the Panthers.
Yeah, McDavid will get chances. I think people expect Barkov to shut him down completely. It's impossible to shut him down completely. You can see when he gets going, he's going to get his chances. But what people don't, I think, realize is McDavid's used to getting 10 to 15 solid scoring chances a game, it seems like. And Barkov has done a really good job of, winning the draws, getting possession of the puck. When they do get it in the Oilers zone, they cycle. But they do it a smart way. Someone's always high. Someone's always watching 97 because he likes to cheat and he likes to go. And then when they're in the D zone, they're watching him. He's winding it up. He's going around. Barkov is the wingers are good on the back pressure. They lay off the D-men a little bit to help down low. The top pressure, which is really important these days because the guys get going in the cycle. It's a total group effort, but it starts from Barkov and gosh, Gretzky. That's a pretty good nod of approval when he's comparing you to Brian Trottier. You call him Trottier?
I don't know.
Is it Trottier or Trottier?
He retired before I was born. You know what I mean?
Brian Trottier. It's Brian Trottier. But let's get down to the brass tacks here. I don't think Edmonton panics. I don't think there's a cause for pushing the panic button in Edmonton. I think you roll out the same lineup again. I don't think you can't bench Nurse. I know I talk about it and it seems great and send a message. You can't bench him. There's nobody who is sitting out who is better than Darnell Nurse. Like Desharnais, maybe you put him in. He's not going to make a big difference. I don't think you do that, but they played great. I think the only thing is maybe Bob isn't on his game next game. You do the same thing. When their power play jumps on the ice, they only had 3 opportunities. So dangerous. It's almost unfair to see those guys zip the puck around. They have no fear. They go cross ice. They go low to high. They're shooting the puck. They're just zipping it around. The thing that impresses me is when Florida does clear the puck, a lot of teams, they just regroup mentally. They regroup physically. They go back and they do their set breakout and everybody comes back. It's nice and slow and organized. Edmonton, they get back and get that puck as fast as possible. And they throw it down your throat right away. It's Bouchard. It's McDavid. One of those 2 guys, they go back and they're busting their hump to get back. The end of the first period, I think it was, Florida iced it. That could have been the end of the game. Someone busted their hump back and got that puck, and away we went the other way. It impresses me the amount of work that they put into the power play. It's really impressive. Florida won't get by again if they go on the PK twice in the first period again, because it's bound to happen. They have to score in the power play. One of the things that, sorry, I'm droning on again. Their zone entry is so impressive. McDavid winds it up like everybody does these days. Bouchard skates it up and he drops it back to McDavid. You're not going to stop that. Florida was trying to stop that. They were leaving a guy late. The D-men were pinching up on the blue line, anticipating McDavid. Draisaitl's getting ready to drop it. Very smartly, the Nuge cuts in behind the Florida forwards. It was Barkov. He sees this. Breakaway pass. It's like, what an adjustment. The coaching staff must have saw that and said, hey, they're cheating. They're on McDavid. They're trying to slow his speed down. They're trying to hold him up on the blue line, stand him up, zip a pass, back him up a little bit, and he gets a breakaway. Terrible attempt by Nugent Hopkins there. Got to do better. But yeah, great play by Draisaitl and great play by the coach. I know he probably drew that up mid-game and said, hey, they're cheating. We can catch them here, but it's fun to watch, Tim.
Yeah, a few huge breakaway stops by Bobrovsky. And again, final score 3-0. Louis Turanen ends the comeback attempt with an empty net goal, which I thought they might have scored on. They were running out of time, so I didn't think they were going to get 2, but I was surprised they didn't get 1. They had a lot of opportunities there, and just a ton of credit to Florida. I mentioned this already. Dreger said that you might see Desharnais in Game 2 tonight, in which case the Oilers would dress 7D. You know, it kind of says there's a lot of interesting decisions you make on game day, especially when you're losing, right? And you feel like, okay, what choice do I need to make? Usually what Knobloch does is the right decision. His decisions tend to work when it comes to roster and lineup management and everything. But we'll see. We'll find out tonight who's in the lineup and how it works out.
So before the series, I talked about, are the Panthers going to be getting away with the rough stuff after the whistle? Can they drag the Oilers into the fight? Is that going to be an issue? But the refs were named, and they were old school referees, and something was caught on tape or camera, whatever it is. One of the referees, someone was like, are you going to call it? Are you going to call it? It was a veteran official. Gosh, what's his name? It was a Kazari or something. It's escaping me right now. But he said, are you going to call the retaliation? He's like, no, I'm not going to call anything. Like, let's go. So if you notice all the scrums, headlocks, face washes, punches, both teams going back and forth, mostly Florida initiating it. If this continues, Florida's got to be so happy, because they were calling it a little in the Rangers series. You know, they weren't letting things get out of hand. But if it continues this way and it's the same refereeing crew, which it might be, Florida has to be happy with the outcome of this game. There was a lot of scrum. Were you surprised by how physical it got that early?
No, because Florida's going to do that. And what Jason Greger said was that Wednesday last week when we talked about the Oilers preview and what Bouchard had to stand up for himself. And when he said that, I actually remembered a moment in Game 6 in Dallas, or against Dallas, when Bouchard stood up to Ben in a situation like that, where Ben's getting in his grill, and I watched Bouchard kind of do that. So you know that the Oilers know that, you know, it's going to be important to stand up for yourself, not back down, give it back without crossing the line. But man, Florida is so good at straddling that line and drawing penalties by frustrating you. Where you said you've had enough, and you whack and you face walk and you punch. There were a lot of things that probably should have been penalties. That little Bennett got someone or Kachuk got someone, and then Evander got Kachuk right in the face, skating by the bench. Did you see that clip? Like, I could see them, you know, calling a little bit tighter in Game 2 to not let the series get out of hand. But if they don't, Florida is going to be licking their lips. Yeah, and it's a targeted attack. Every scrum, like Kachuk had McDavid in a legit head hold, about to DDT him,
like Jake the Snake Roberts. And the ref's like, hey, stop that. And Chuck's like, kick rocks, beat it. It's fun to watch. It's great hockey. And then game 2 goes tonight. So it's 1-0 Florida. Where do you see this game going? Where do you see this game going, Tim? Is it going to be tied up, or is it going to be 2-0 Florida?
I think 2-0 Florida. I think you see a more high-scoring game in game 2. I think it's probably like 5-3, something like that. 5-3 Florida. I don't think I think Bobrovsky, he is beatable. McDavid's not going to be held off the score sheet for long. Draisaitl, Hyman, those guys, but I do think Florida takes game 2.
Yeah, I think Edmonton will bounce back. I think it's bound to happen. They just crack that nut and start scoring goals, but Florida will come with a better effort. That'll be the thing. Florida's going to come. They're going to be physical. They're going to be ready in the first. It was glaring how they were. That's where you said it would look like a close game. There was some shifts where Florida was good in the first and second, but overall, Edmonton was playing really, really good. It's unfortunate those 2 goals, because if Ceci and Nurse aren't playing, it's a completely different game. Anyways, let's get on to some quick hits or hockey finances. What do you want to talk about next, Tim?
Yeah, there was some salary cap talk over the weekend that was announced. The NHL announced the cap next season will be increased to $88 million, which is up from 82 and change, 83.
83.5 it was, yeah.
Not quite 90. That's something we're projecting, but a huge increase, over 5%. And a 5% increase has to be agreed upon by both sides. This is 5.39%, which is, again, a good sign, good faith of the growth in the league. They believe in the ticket sales, the ad revenue, all that stuff. And I think it's probably pretty big news. How should we be feeling about this?
It's good. Well, every year before COVID, the players had the option to do a 5% increase. It was built into the CBA, so the players vote on it every single year. And you just always said, yeah, more money in the system. It's good for the players. Let's do it. COVID stopped that. And so we've rolled it back. They haven't had a salary cap increase for a long time. It looks like they're getting back to business as norm. It was a great year financially for the NHL. Viewership was up. Everybody's happy. They have one big market team in the finals right now, which is good for HRR, in Florida, is exploding. Like the hockey down there is not like it once was. They're getting corporate sponsors, so it's good. So this increase is great. They got 5.39%. Very, very good. $88 million. What did they project? Wasn't it a few years ago they said it was going to be $100 million by 25, 26, 26, 27? So signs are good. It's going to approach that number soon. The players love it. More money in the system. That's an extra $5 million for a player. That's awesome. What will happen, which inevitably always happens, there will be no middle class. All that money will go to sign stars, and there'll be a huge gap, and then there'll be the league minimum guys making $1 million to $2 to $3 million. There won't be any more $4 to $5 million players. It'll be 12. It'll be 3. There'll be no middle class, which is kind of what you have to do these days to field a team. When the stars want the money, you have to pay them that much money, and there's not much left over for the middle class team. But it's good. It's good to see the money filtering into the system. It's worth noting some teams need to spend money to get to the floor.
Yeah, so the salary floor is going to be $65 million, and there's a whole bunch of teams that are below that. Most of them are just below it by a few $100,000, and that includes the fact of all the expiring contracts. So no one's really worried about it, except for a handful of teams that are more than $10 million under the floor, I should say. Anaheim, the Hawks, the Sharks, and the Utah Hockey Club, named TBD, is more than $20 million under the cap. So they got some money to spend. They're going to have to go out and overpay their guys or go get a free agent or what. But I think the floor is probably a good thing. And I don't know, did the teams panic about the floor, or is it did the owners hate this? Do you hate the floor if you're a manager of that team?
Some owners obviously are very aware of the floor. Back in Arizona, they would spend to the floor and they would take on contracts. And we saw it during the regular season. The actual money paid out in Arizona was well less than the floor because they had guys on their contract who are on LTIR. And when I was there, we grabbed Pronger, or we grabbed a Datsuk or a Hossa, guys who have been retired for years and years. And they like a Brent Seabrooks, money like that. It's good. I think Utah will spend more money. It's going to be fun to watch that team. They have, what is it now, $50 million to spend, something insane like that. So it's good for hockey. Let's raise the floor. Let's get more money in the system and see what happens. I think the Ducks and the Hawks and the Sharks will eventually spend more money when they're competitive. But right now, there's no reason to. What it forces the Hawks to do is, much like they did last year when they signed Foligno and Perry and these guys to big deals, you just have to spend more money for vets. And then they will. So it is what it is, but it's good. Floor's a good thing. The cap's a good thing. I think I don't like Moneyball. Like, I don't like how the Dodgers and the Red Sox and the Yankees can go out and just buy everybody. And then teams like the Oakland Athletics, Tampa Bay Rays, the Marlins, the smaller Brewers, smaller market teams, they can't compete because you get a player, you develop him, and then he's just gone, and he's going to sign for $300 million. So I like the way hockey's doing it. And I get all this information, Tim, from Cap Friendly. Yeah. But not so long. It's
not
going
for
away.
long. Yeah, there was a report over the weekend that the Washington Capitals are buying the website, and they're going to take it down. Basically, it's tech related, so they want all like the algorithms, the software, the data management tools that they built on the back end of that site, which is very sophisticated and very impressive. Honestly, there's the API, there's statistical models, all this stuff. They wanted that. Apparently, the Capitals, one thing I read, they were behind the eight ball compared to some other organizations when it came to those departments on their team and their management group and all that. So they get the stuff and they prepackaged to use for their own data, player models, player evaluation, cap management, all that stuff. And they're going to use Cap Friendly's tools to do that. So it will be around until at least July 5th because both sides wanted fans to have access to it for the draft, free agency, all that stuff, which I think is a nice little thing. And it's possible that we see another version of this site, whether by the Capitals or others, re-release another public-facing site. Once they take what they want for their own internal things, they can still have some of it front-facing for people like us who use it just about every day. But it's a huge blow because it was Cap. Who was it before? The first one?
Cap Geek.
Cap Geek, yep. And then the guy died and Cap Friendly took over. And I'm sure another one will come along, but it's such a good site. I hope we don't see it gone for too long.
Well, smart by Washington because they have a terrible team. And I think people probably just go on there and the owner's tired of saying, yes, I pay Ovechkin 9.5. I know he's 40 years old. I get it. Yes, Tom Wilson signed forever. I know. I get it. Yeah, TJ Oshie's old. I get it. It's be maddening. He's like, fine, I'll buy the whole damn company. No one gets to look at it anymore. So I don't know. That whole tech stuff is beyond me. I don't understand it. But anyways, Tim, do we have anything else?
No, it's a quiet weekend other than the big game and the Cap Friendly stuff. So yeah, game 2 tonight. I expect a high scoring affair, and I think Florida goes back up 2-0.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be high scoring. I think it's going to be a close game, maybe in overtime, 3-2, 2-1 type game. I just think Florida won't let it get high scoring.
I do have a quick report that just came out 15 minutes ago from Frank that Desharnais is paired with Nurse on the third pairing, and Ceci may be a healthy scratch.
Wow. Good. That's a smart play. It's a ballsy move by Knobloch to do that because Cody Ceci has played pretty much the whole season on that second pair or third pairing. Like he played 80, how many games in the regular season he played this year? 80 games. So he was a legit regular defenseman. And to have him be a healthy scratch, I like it. I like it a lot. So good for him. Keeping Philip Broberg in the lineup, who was in the AHL this year for the whole season. He wants to win. I like this coach. I like what he's doing. So good for him. Cody Ceci does not deserve to play. Darnell Nurse, you're next, my friend. You're next because you have to play better. You cannot be just a suck and a siphon like I was when I played. So I'm excited to watch the game tonight. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will talk to you on Wednesday to recap the game and hopefully talk about a tie series going into Edmonton. Game 7 is going to be exciting, Tim. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Dropping the Gloves with John Scott, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from to never miss an episode.